Now that I've published this review, I'm going to go watch The Menagerie and Balance of Terror because of reasons. You'll understand. I'm Gayfesh, and today we'll be talking Star Trek Strange New Worlds Season 1, Episode 10, A Quality of Mercy. But before we get started, make sure to like, subscribe, and ring the bell. It's the season finale, so we got ourselves some big spoilers coming. So the trailer made it seem like the big focus of this episode was going to be the Romulans. And to an extent it is, but no, they aren't coming back to be a big villain for Strange New Worlds. It's wilder than that. Let me explain. The Enterprise and the Cayuga are helping shore up defenses at Outpost 4 on the neutral zone. Pike is cooking again for that cutie Captain Batel, but don't expect to see a lot of her this episode. This ain't her show. While talking to the Outpost commander, he's introduced to the commander's son. He's one of the 5 cadets that are in the accident with him, and he's one that doesn't survive. This is the first time Pike has come face to face with what his fate means for other people, and he decides to draft a letter to warn the kid about the event. Just as he starts writing it, though, he is visited by a familiar face. It's Captain Pike from the future. A different future, as it turns out, because he's not scarred or in a wheelchair, and he's wearing the red movie uniform, which won't be adopted for another 15 or 20 years in Starfleet. He's used one of those Klingon time crystals to give present-day Pike a warning about what will happen if he writes that letter. Pike touches the crystal to gain a vision and is transported 7 years into the future where he avoids his fate. It is a retelling of Balance of Terror, the famous TOS episode that introduced the Romulans. Because Pike was not in that accident, he is still captain of the Enterprise, so he is the one to arrive when the Romulans start blowing up the outposts along the neutral zone. A lot of the story beats play out the same. There's a wedding on the ship, there's lines of dialogue ripped directly from that episode. They tap into the Romulan feed and discover they're related to the Vulcans, all the hits. I'm sure there was stuff I don't even remember from that episode they referenced, which is why I'm definitely watching this episode after this review. What surprised me this episode is that Kirk shows up as captain of the Farragut, which arrives to assist. I knew that Paul Wesley had been cast as Kirk, but I thought I'd read he was showing up in season 2, so I was not expecting to see him this soon. I don't really like Paul Wesley as Kirk. I don't expect a new actor to take over a role and give a one-to-one performance as the originator, but this guy feels more like he's channeling Bruce Greenwood's version of Pike than a Kirk performance. There's a moment or two where he does the Shatnerian pause, and props to him, he doesn't overdo it, he just does it like Shatner would. But overall, I just don't believe this is the same character. The episode goes out of its way to make you believe that the dark future ahead will be because Kirk dies if Pike avoids his fate. They blow up the Farragut in a firefight with the Romulan bird of prey, but of course everyone gets out. Kirk takes a shuttlecraft to go gather up a fleet of automated mining ships to serve as a bluff when the entire Romulan fleet shows up at the neutral zone border, and it looks like he'll get blown up there. But no. The real dark future is twofold. First, because Pike has favored negotiation and mercy against the Romulans, they see the Federation as weak, unwilling to commit to a fight, and a prime candidate for conquest. And second, in the ensuing fight, Spock is badly burned and loses a leg. Future Pike reveals that in every timeline where Pike avoids his fate, Spock is the one who suffers it. And without Spock around, the hope for eventual peace brought about through reunification is lost. Pike returns to his own time and deletes the message. The fate of the galaxy is at stake. You can't risk that all for the life of 2 cadets. In the time-honored tradition of Star Trek season finales, we end on a cliffhanger. Starfleet finds out that Una is a genetically enhanced Illyrian and places her under arrest. It's not really relevant to the main storyline other than it being mentioned in Pike's future vision, but I'm glad that this is coming to a head and can't wait to see how they resolve it. So, that's the end of the season. What did you think? Let me know down below.
We hear Scotty over the intercom in this episode. I wonder if they'll bring him onto the show next season or if that's the only hint of him we get. If you're looking to cast someone to play him though, just saying, Chris Doohan is available.
Be sure to like, subscribe, ring the bell, and share the video with your friends. Subscribe to my Patreon to get shouted out in future videos. Check out my Bandcamp for banging tunes, including all the tracks you heard in this video. Follow me on Twitter at GayestFesh, and don't forget to check out my podcast, The Rest of Both Worlds, where I go through Star Trek The Next Generation with a friend who's never seen it. Thank you to all my patrons, with a special shout out to Piftle Cakes and Renee Vorbeck. Your support is greatly appreciated. See you all in the next video.